from Los Angeles. Welcome back to Good Morning La Land. And today, I am a superwoman.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much for being on the show.
Bridget and Commander. Love you guys. Love that name, Commander.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Oh, gosh. Well, the army of women and men that we're working with, they kind of affectionately call me the commander because I kind of have a tendency to rally the troops.
And you've rallied them all the way to Forbes. I mean, the press you guys have gotten with this movement has been absolutely incredible. But for people who aren't familiar with I Am Superwoman, how would you break it down for us?
Well, I would just tell you, the Me Too movement was so important, right? And we've been working in the trenches with women coming out of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And so to know that women could finally speak and voice this, and men as well, right? Because that's been a very important part of this whole movement. The only problem is that we've seen that there's been almost a gender war that has been happening. And we still see that, some people say, well, okay, Me Too, and it's time for it to be over. And we're like, no, it's not. However, it's time for women and men to work together in mutual dignity and respect for one another.
Absolutely.
Because what are we teaching our children? We're teaching our children and our grandchildren that it's, that it's fine to continue to hurt one another and to keep moving forward in this climate. And what we're saying is, no, it's time to recalibrate, to re-educate society on what is actually really possible.
Oh, I love this. Love it. Yeah. So I love the Me Too. I love the Me Too, and I love the additional ways that you have complementing that and helping it to continue to evolve in positive directions. It's just beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, because women have to continue to own their voices. We're seeing this across the world and in our nation, from everyday life to boardrooms and prisons and other things, is that historically women have not been owning their voices. And the silence is where we get sick, right? We're only as sick as our secrets, and the silence is where we're sick. So when we can own it and voice it, and then we can change the narrative and create a brand new story, is where the power really comes in. And women and men who have been victims become victors over their lives. And leaders in society.
So what does that look like? I mean, everyone wants to be Superwoman. Of course, we all dress up in costumes when we were kids and want to be Superwoman. But what does that look like? So say, okay, I want to get involved now. I am a Superwoman. What does that mean?
Well, the biggest thing right now, we're so excited we're in LA right now because on Friday we have a Superwoman Summit. Do you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're having a summit we've invited women from your Los Angeles community, from the homeless shelters, from the shelters where the human trafficking women and children and families we've invited literally a large majority of your society here, or your community here in Los Angeles, but we're holding a Equality and Empowerment Summit, and we're bringing some of the most fabulous speakers you guys have ever. I mean, we're thinking it's a pretty cool summit. But I got to tell you,
Commander says it's cool.
right?
Yeah.
Commander says it's cool. Well, seriously, guys, we're bringing some, and I'll let Bridget say the names, but we're bringing federal judges and that have gone in and made this their life work. And I'd love for Bridget to give you the lineup because she's got this memorized. She actually wrote their bios, and so I want to make sure.
So it's at the Beverly Hilton, and it's this Friday. It goes from red carpet, 7:30 in the morning. A lot of these women have never been on a red carpet, so it's really fun for them to do that. And then it will go till 5. We have an American Idol singer and some others for entertainment. But we have former Honorable Judge Bruce Einhorn, who has just been instrumental in the language of the United States for asylum. And he's also helped more than 50 women to get out of human trafficking, sexual assault in different horrific situations and to gain asylum here, which has been amazing. We also have Parisa Khosrovi, who is a CNN award-winning, she was a vice president at CNN, and she also was responsible for a lot of the media that happened many, many years, several decades. And she's just very expressive and quite an advocate for women and voice, of course. And then we also have India Kinney Stearns, who was the vice president for Oprah for a couple of decades. And so she's bringing all of her powerful inspiration and enthusiasm to the table. So, I mean, it's just extraordinary women and men after extraordinary.
So it's basically about awareness. So it's all about awareness, is that?
And empowerment.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand.
I'm wondering, what was the moment in your life where you flipped the switch and you were a superwoman?
You go for it.
Oh boy. Oh, that's a tough one. You know, I think the moment of my life when I realized I was a superwoman is when I realized that I had the ability and the confidence to be the change. And I wasn't going to step back. And people say, why are you so successful in what you do? And I think if I could tell any of your readers or listeners or that if you're going to take something on and you feel it in your heart, if you quit this far from the end zone, you're never going to be a success. You've got to ride that moment out, and you've got to ride it until you're completely solid and you know that you've done the landing and that you've done what you set out to do. So we all have superpowers. Each one of us have superpowers. Some of us have more than superpowers. And when I say superpowers, my superpower may be that I just have the ability to make people feel love. Bridget has superpowers, her own, you know. Every one of us have that, and it, you know, it's not that, oh, we think we can fly or this or that, but really, it's how we use it. We can. We're not telling you all.
But isn't that what a commander does? Is helps bring out those superpowers.
Absolutely.
And pushes and pushes and pushes until it's like that. There's something that just gets birthed out of that frustration.
That's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And we see this every day with the women that are stepping into their own powers that have never expressed their life. They've been in a situation in a family, and this is all they've known. They've come from, let's just use drugs right now. They've come from drugs. Mom and dad used drugs. Grandma and grandpa used drugs. This is all they've known. So of course they're going to do the drugs. We're trying to recalibrate the next generation because what's happening here is our society is a little bit off balance here, and we're kind of spiraling. And as our producer Sue Melky says, we're like a clunky old car driving down the road, and our GPS is off, and that's our society. And it's a good way to say it, but our internal GPS of our humanity is off. So what we're trying to do is recalibrate and bring everybody back in, because right now we're all kind of frustrated and we're all kind of scared. And the people came to us and said, what are you ladies doing? And we said that we did the hashtag Me Too and the Time's Up. We decided that we was going to do something. You know, I personally wanted to do something, and then she said it, and we looked at each other and we said, it's up to us. So we hashtagged, now it's up to me. So our hashtag, now it's up to me, is the next step, how to step out, step away from what's happening. We're asking people to use their voices, and we're asking people to be powerful and not be small. Play big, because inside of each of us, we're big. You are enough. We're all enough. And that's how it has to be. And don't ever let anybody make you feel small. It's so important that you exercise your own internal powers.
You can see why we call her the commander.
I was going to say, she was not misnamed. You were not misnamed.
I'd love to share something if I might, because she has just motivated and inspired me. But I will tell you, after I wrote a book called The Witness Wore Red, which was about the 19th wife of 65 women who escaped from Warren Jeffs and the FLDS. And she was so courageous. And I saw the power of one woman to change the world. And I knew that I could no longer sit back and just always be behind the scenes and writing other people's stories and books. And I think for the, I'm getting emotional, the time for me that I really felt this was just a few months ago when we were teaching our curriculum in the prison. And we were teaching women and to be sheroes in their own lives, and about their superpowers and about raising their voice, and that their past did not define them. But they could have the power, and they did have the power to create a brand new chapter in their lives. And I saw the light come on in their eyes. And just as I have done so many times, I fell back in love with the human soul, because I think we're all about transformation. And this is why I love working with Commander. She's only told you like this much, but you know, she's been commissioned by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, other things, but she's building an army. We're building an army of women warriors that are saying, we are enough, and we're going to teach this to our own daughters and to our own sons, and we're going to create something magnificent in the world.
As long as I get to wear the outfit, that's all I got to say.
And we brought this.
And we want your cape as well.
Right? And we brought this to Los Angeles. We are having an event this Friday, and for your listeners and your viewers, we'd like to invite you all to the Beverly Hills Hilton. And if you mention this television show at the door, we would honor your network.
Your entrance.
Wow.
Entrance. We will comp your people.
wow,
will comp
that's
them.
so
Yeah.
nice. Thank you
Because
so much.
it's so important for us to make sure that people know this is out there, and we are nonprofit. So if someone comes in there, we are going to feed coffee and tea, and they're going to sit back and listen to these beautiful speakers. And we have some panelists, and oh my gosh. We haven't even had a little itsy bitsy a minute to tell you, but it's so spot on, right to the minute. But
Oh, please tell them about Piper, please.
oh yes, Piper. Oh gosh, I'm so sad. Her father. Okay, I'm going to mess her last name up. Piper Mullins. Is that it?
Is she one of your speakers?
Well, she's been a friend of mine forever, but she's a Facebook friend. But her father and her have been working together with the apartheid in Africa and freeing Nelson Mandela. She's been walking side by side with her father for years, and he just recently passed away. And he has done several acts of changing the fabric of how people, can, as far as equality. And when her and her father helped free Nelson Mandela, this beautiful man just passed away this week. So they're right now, as we speak, trying to commission the day September 9th. And I can't believe I don't want to misspell it, but they're going to commission that day as his day here in Los Angeles, and
As a global
kindness.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's
It's
amazing.
something that
Well,
is shifting the planet.
We'll be sure to follow you.
Yes.
Tell our viewers where they can follow you, because I'm sure you'll make that announcement.
We will do that.
Happens.
And I'm sorry, Piper, about your last name. I just didn't have the spelling.
It's okay. But what time does it start again on Friday?
So 7:30 a.m. is like red
registration.
carpet and registration, and we have wonderful refreshments to greet everyone with. And then the actual event will begin at 9 with music, and we have 2 wonderful acts of music that are Beverly Hills quality, which just excites us to no end.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then the speakers, I just have to tell you, the stories that you're going to hear, the things. In fact, we would love all of you to be able to come as our special guests.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
You are going to be in the presence of leaders from across the nation who are doing amazing things in regards to this and who believe in being superwomen and supermen. So
Absolutely.
Definitely, for sure. Well, we definitely know that everyone is a
It
Superman
just came
and
to me,
Superwoman.
Piper Dellums.
There you go. And so it is, you guys. Stay tuned. We'll all be right back in one moment.